Yeah, so hi, my name's Chet Huber, and I, in a former life, used to be the president of OnStar for General Motors, and now I teach here at the Harvard Business School.
So OnStar is actually taught here at Harvard Business School as a case study.
Right, so my intersection with Harvard is I graduated from here 100 years ago, and my classmate at that time in my section was Clayton Christensen. So he and I have known each other for a long time, and he says really smart stuff today. He used to say really smart stuff as well. We didn't know it at the time when we were all students, so we would have wished we'd listened to him more in the class when we sat together 40 years ago. But now he is really smart. And one of the things that happened in my life that was pretty interesting was I got involved in a business called OnStar in General Motors. Back then it was called Project Beacon. So it was a little startup inside of a massive car company, a $200 billion a year car company. My experience to get into that role was selling locomotives for General Motors. So I had done that for 22 years and loved it. Had no intention of ever intersecting with the car business, and life's funny, and so I ended up being the first real employee of a thing called Project Beacon, which turned into OnStar, and I get to be part of that for 14 years. Maybe about 5 years into this adventure, one of the students that Clay had actually worked for OnStar, and so he was writing his paper for the course that Clay teaches about this little thing called OnStar, and Clay thought it was pretty funny, actually. The GM would try to do something as silly as different as OnStar, and he also thought it was really funny that his old section mate was the guy trying to lead it. So he thought there were a million moving parts that wouldn't work, including who they decided to get to lead it. And that makes perfect fodder for a Harvard Business School case, because our cases always have stuff going wrong. And so Clay approached me and said, can we write a case about OnStar to use in my course? And at that time, the president of GM was Rick Wagner, and he was an alumni of the school. And all of the cases that Rick and I both experienced about GM when we were here on campus were all awful. They were all Toyota, really smart. GM is either Moeller or Curly, some version of the Three Stooges. And so it was a big decision to decide whether we were going to let these guys write a case about us, because we didn't know how it was going to end. It was very early and things were kind of rough. Rick and I both decided that, mainly he decided, that it was okay to do. But the threat to me was it better end well, because neither one of us wanted to be embarrassed. And we got plenty of embarrassment through the process. But as it turns out, the case came on campus, and I would come back and forth and listen to Clay put it into his course. And I had never heard any of his theories at that point, never read any of his books, didn't know anything about disruption, didn't know anything about jobs to be done, none of that. I just was experiencing what life was like, trying to do something different in a big company without any of the frameworks. And so the reason that OnStar actually works really well in the case course today is that it's the last case we talk about, because we offended literally every theory. And you see me now, I'm 5'10", I used to be 6'2", my hair's a different color, because if you live life without these theories, it's really, really hard. And the jobs one's a particularly hilarious one as it related to General Motors, because if you know the car business, you know what car makers want are feature claims. They want things that you can say, my car does this better than anybody else's car. And the more claims, the better. Look at the shiny object. We do something that somebody else doesn't do. And so with something technically as broad-based as OnStar, there's almost nothing you can't do with it. I mean, so the issue isn't, geez, it's limited by what it can do. No, the problem is it can do too much. But we didn't see it as a problem. We saw that as, this is really cool. We can say it does everything. So we're the Swiss Army knife of who knows what we're trying to do with it, but we can do almost everything. And look at all the claims we can make. We can save your life. We can order you pizza. We can get you tickets to a play. We can get you directions somewhere. We can beam a coupon to your dashboard if you're going by a Starbucks. I mean, we do all this stuff. And so somebody's got to love it, right? Or love a part of it. And that's a great thing, because you could do all this stuff. And it was a mess. We couldn't explain it to anybody. We tried to execute on that, and we were all over the place. It sounded good to the car guys, but to actually run it as a company, there was no center of gravity to anything that we were doing. And in fact, when we would interact with our customers a year after they bought the service, when they were supposed to renew, those that didn't renew, we'd ask them, why? Why didn't you renew? And they said, oh, I don't need that concierge service. And we'd say, what about the part that saves your life? And they said, oh, it does that too? And you go, this is bad. This is really bad, because that's an important thing about what we do. And so we kind of recalibrated around this makes a difference in people's lives. And actually, we were starting to get some really, really awesome feedback that we didn't solicit from customers when we had intervened and saved people's lives. And we actually had customers mad at us because we weren't focused enough on what we really did. And they thought that was to our detriment and to the detriment of people who didn't know enough about OnStar to buy it. And so ultimately, through trial and error, School of Hard Knocks, I wish I had read the book, frankly, about jobs, but I didn't. Now we're in the book about jobs because we did it wrong. But the fact was, we did focus around this job of safety, security. You could more broadly connect it to peace of mind. It changed everything. It changed how we express the brand to our customers. It changed the way our customers related to us. We all of a sudden became an emotionally bonded partner with them. And it changed everything about the way our internal organization thought about what it had to do next. So when Clay has this concept, and I wish he had given me the Vulcan mind meld on this before we had to go through the problems we went through, but when he says it's this two-pointed compass, right? I mean, it points the customers towards you, but it points you towards what you do next. He's absolutely right. I mean, the nature of what to do next in a company with a technology base to it, again, it's a lot of fun or it's not, because there's too many things, frankly, to be doing. And so what it really helped us do is rule out a whole bunch of stuff that just wasn't right for our brand. Our brand had a voice, and it talked to us. And when we listened to it, it was nice. And when we didn't listen to it, it got cranky. And frankly, we deserved for it to get cranky from time to time. So I'm a big believer in this concept of jobs. I lived life without it, and we were lucky enough to live long enough to find our job and to embrace our job and to kind of chase life with the energy that job provided. And so I think it's an awesome construct now, and I'm really glad I'm back here not having to execute jobs anymore for real and just talk about them, because it's a lot more fun to be doing this actually than to have your hair turned red again. Thanks.